My husband and I both heard a scream in our house at 3 a.m. Edit, my daughter was not, and does not sleep alone on the couch at night. She sleeps in her own bed, own room, comfortable and happy. While I appreciate the concern, my daughter's sleeping arrangements aren't the point of this post. She fell asleep on the couch with us while we were watching TV, so we let her sleep while we finished the show. I went upstairs to head to bed while my husband was downstairs, 2 rooms over in the kitchen, filling his water bottle, and was going to grab her to bring her upstairs to her room right after. Just as the title states, my husband and I stayed up pretty late the other night binging a show. We finally decided to head to bed. I went upstairs, closed the bedroom door and turned the fan on, then laid my H.E. down while he headed to the kitchen to fill up his water bottle. The second I laid down, I heard what can only be described as a demonic something out of a horror movie scream coming from downstairs. I was frozen in fear for a moment, then decided to text my husband and ask if he heard it too. He immediately texted me at the same time to confirm he heard it, and as soon as he did, he bolted to the living room to check on our 2-year-old daughter. She was sleeping on the couch, to find her passed out, mouth open and snoring, so we know it couldn't have come from her. Not that he could make that kind of sound to begin with. We just were trying to make sense of it. But it did come from our living room. I feel actually and explaining it because it felt like something that only happens in horror movies. I've never experienced this before. We live in the city, and it was 35°C that night, so we had all our windows shut. The sound didn't come from outside. We ruled out any animals' noises as we don't have a ton of foxes in the areas, let alone in the city. Our home is 114 years old, and right across the back alley from a funeral home selling point for us. And when WWE first moved in, our neighbors and a few others had stated the house was haunted. But in the past 2 years we've lived here, we've never experienced anything that terrifying. The odd shadow figure in our peripherals, sounds that could be chalked up to our cats. Sleep paralysis has frequented me very often, but as for paranormal activity, I wouldn't confirm our house is necessarily haunted. It hasn't happened since. We're both extremely confused, and slightly terrified. I did smudged our home heavily the next morning, windows open, and let out the stagnant energy. Anyone have ideas on what it possibly could have been, if not a terrifying paranormal event?